Hi everyone, it has been a while, but I was in the mood to make another video. I wanted to go over, since my last video was when I completely finished paying off all my credit cards finally and was $0 debt free for the first time in such a long time. I just wanted to follow up with a video that now we are coming up on 6 months of being debt free from credit cards anyway. So I just wanted to do a video to kind of go over how the last couple months have gone and how we're doing. So I am super, super happy that over the last 6 months, ever since January, I have fully paid off my credit cards every single time I get paid, basically. So twice a month, I just pay it back down to zero. I am still using credit cards, mostly for the points, but I have not held a balance since January. So super excited about that. But I wanted to go into how I'm handling this and where I'm seeing some potential problems and areas to work on. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right in. So yeah, 6 months CC debt free, money updates beginning of June. So that is right now, we're just headed into June. So I have paid everything off down to zero. However, I have noticed that every month we do go over a little bit. And I just wrote down per month from January till now, my checking account balance at the beginning of the month and my savings account balance at the beginning of the month, and how those change from month to month. And I am noticing a pattern here where although I'm able to cover 100% of the credit card debt, it is definitely a little bit, I'm definitely going a little bit over every single month. So in January, for instance, I had like $1,000 in my checking account. Then during January, it was a 3 paycheck month. So that balance went up a lot because I basically saved like $2,600 in checking and savings, across checking and savings out of that extra paycheck. So that really beefed up my balances a lot. But then from February until the beginning of June, that has gone down every month because I am spending more than I take in every month by a little bit. So in March, I overspent by $309. In April, I overspent by $542. In May, I overspent by a lot, $1,500, mostly because I decided to take a spontaneous road trip with my sister, and she covered the hotel. I covered gas and food. And that really, it was kind of a last minute decision. I just wanted to get out of town for a little bit, but that really took a hit on the money flow. And then in June, we overspent by $647. So now I'm down to $655 in checking, $504 in my cash savings. July will be a 3 paycheck month, so that will go back up. But I need to stay aware of the fact that we typically go over every single month. And I will not have like a lot of extra padding there to play with. So in July, I'll be earning an extra $3,300 for my extra paycheck. And if we add all of this up, I need to see like how much we typically go over and make sure I have that much money locked and loaded in my checking account and savings account so that we're not broke by the time Christmas rolls around. So that is what we're doing there. So the biggest reason we keep going over every single month, I put down here, since I last updated you guys, our mortgage payment has just shot through the roof since last year. So last year we were paying $3,500 a month for the mortgage and escrow and property tax and home insurance and everything. Then it went up to $4,000, and then it went up to $4,274. So overall, that is up $751 year over year. There's a few reasons why, and some of it is my fault that I realized recently. So partially it's because they raised property taxes. The county we live in did a huge value, like reevaluation of all the home values. So our mortgage or our property taxes were artificially low because our home value was artificially low, and that went up to market value last year. So the property taxes went way up. And then because of that, we were behind on escrow because you're supposed to have 1 year of payments in your escrow account at all times. So we had to pay back the escrow. And then also our home insurance cost went up because we switched providers because the company we were with before was not very reliable for car insurance, and it was a bundle, so we had to switch. So anyway, not the best, but this will be coming down for sure next year. So this year I realized this is my fault. I did not file the homestead exemption. So there's like a tax exemption you can get if the house is your primary residence, and we never did that. So that lowers your tax bill a bit. So I put the paperwork in for that, and then we got another notice that they were trying to raise property taxes again, and I thought they were overvaluing our property, so I filed a tax appeal to get that lowered as well. So I have two things going on right now that will hopefully lower this number back down for next year, and plus by then we'll be caught up on escrow. So that number should definitely be lower next year, I hope, by quite a bit, because that is really killing us. So $751. So if we didn't have to pay this much extra every month, you can see that we would have been positive for several of these months, except for the one I took a trip in. And that would have really balanced out the budget quite a bit more. So not great. But I do have other positive updates for my net worth and savings and debts in general. So I took a look at my net worth comparison from January to June, and I am up by $16,000, which is awesome. Definitely seeing the biggest growth here in my 401k, where in January, my 401k was at $144 at the beginning of the month. And then June at the beginning of the month, we're at $168,000. So that went up $23,000 in 6 months. And so I'm thinking by December, I may be hitting 200K by the end of December in my 401k, which is just crazy and exciting. So every single paycheck, I'm just like motivating myself because it's like one more payment into my 401k and 1 month closer to being able to have like retirement or more financial freedom in my future, which would be amazing, because I like my job a lot, but I don't necessarily want to be in corporate America until I'm 65. Like, I wouldn't mind doing some other things with my life before then. So it would be great if we could just get that 401k balance up enough where I can kind of float around by itself and I can have a little, that will be not something I have to worry about. So anyway, really awesome progress there. And then for our car loan, we went from 10K at the beginning of January to 8K at the beginning of June. So $2,300 down, paid off on the car. This probably will not be paid off by the end of the year because I don't have the extra money to throw at it right now because of the freaking mortgage. And we have some other plans. We're going to a wedding and just the usual expenses of day-to-day life, like school clothes shopping and Christmas shopping and holidays and all of that. So with all of that considered, I don't think I can just start throwing a couple extra $1,000 here and there, which I miss because when we were renting, I certainly could. So because our rent was so much lower than this mortgage payment, but whatever, it's nice to have a house, I guess, and it will go down next year. So and then for our mortgage, we went from $489,000 down to $486,000, slowly paying that down. Eventually, I also do want to refinance and get a lower interest rate there. We're still at 6.125% rate on that mortgage. So I think once we get to 20% equity, maybe I can look at some other options than just VA loans, but VA loans are great too. We currently are on a VA loan, and be able to pay that, like refinance and get a much lower monthly payment on the mortgage. And then for savings accounts for and assets, I guess. So our house value itself kind of went down a bit from January, but of course that is just like market stuff. Like it's not a perfect science, but based on all the real estate websites, I'm a dork. So what I do is I take the value from like 4 different real estate websites and the Bank of America Property Value Finder, and I average them together month over month. So I think in January it was like 515 or something, and then by now it's more closer to 500, averaging it out. I don't know if that's true or not, but we could just keep it at what we paid for the house, which is 500 as well for the house value, and not worry about market rates. But anyways, I am taking the average as part of my net worth calculation. So that's how I'm doing it right now. And then for savings accounts, for my high yield savings, I haven't touched it. It's just been, I haven't put money in or taken money out. It's just been generating based on the interest rate alone. And it's only gone up like, $200-300 since January, but it's nice that we have that in case we need that. I am still a bit worried about losing my job because of the market right now. It's just kind of rocky. Maybe I'm a little overly cautious there, but this is our emergency fund. In case of worst case scenario, that is emergency fund for now. And I can't really bulk it up further right now either because, again, we're kind of house poor at the moment. Health savings. So I did use a lot of that money for appointments, and I feel great about that. I'm glad I took care of some stuff. And that went down from 1.7K to 1.3K. I think my daughter will be needing braces soon as well. So that is something to consider coming up in the future. And then the kids' 529s went up a little bit from 3.3K to 3.8K. And again, I would love to contribute more and more faster, but with the current situation, I don't see a way of doing that. Although my parents did mention that they are going to start saving as well for the kids, which is really nice. It is tax deductible, so I think that would be helpful for them as well. And then I do also have a single stock, which it's just been keeping there because it's been doing well. It went from 32.3K to 37.2K, so a little bit of growth there. And that is also, I would consider, the other half of our worst case scenario emergency fund that we have in case we absolutely need it. That can help float us for a while in the worst case scenario, although hopefully that never happens. But yeah, so that is how we're doing at the beginning of June. I am super excited to get this mortgage payment back down because that is killing us right now. We are definitely feeling it. Having to be a little bit, honestly, I should just have not even gone on this trip, honestly. But yeah, it's difficult to really pull back too much on day-to-day expenses. So I need to address that with myself, but we're doing really well in general. Everything is more or less going in the right direction. It's just, this is the big killer here, is that every single month we're closing out a bit lower than where we started. And then I am really looking forward to that third paycheck in July to kind of bail myself out again there. But we are not having to touch our savings account balances yet. And I think with this big increase in the mortgage, I was worried that I'd start having to break into the piggy bank of my high yield savings. But somehow we are not needing to do that just yet. And I want to wait and make sure that, like, ideally, we can just get through the year without having to do that. We'll just have to be a little bit more careful about spending, which is frustrating because there's things I want to buy and do. And we did cancel. We were planning to go to the beach in June, and I wound up canceling that trip altogether. We're just going to focus on the wedding that we're going to in July because money, and that really sucked. But we're going to do a bunch of lake days and pool days instead, and it'll be fine. But I will say it was a bit disappointing for me because I love going to the beach. But yeah, it would have been like another $3,000 or so that we just couldn't afford this year. So having to be a little bit realistic with ourselves there. But besides that, I haven't been doing too much to like really cut back on spending. I'm just being, I'm basically spending the same amount on groceries every month, gas every month. The kids just have school expenses. There's things that we wind up buying on Amazon or going shopping for. We went to like a farmer's market or an art festival and bought a few things. I did that with my daughter, spent like $100 just enjoying ourselves out and about. But there is a limit, and I need to figure out what that limit is and, when to just say no to stuff. Like right now, I really, really want to redo, like get some, like just for like I can probably do it for like 500, less than $1,000, maybe like $500. Do some stuff upstairs to make it look nicer and be more comfortable and functional of a space. So maybe I have to see if we can afford that, or if I need to keep all of this money stocked up to float us through the end of the year for the third paycheck. So that's just kind of where I'm at now. But I am really proud of myself that I have not put money back on the credit card, or at least carried a balance over month to month. And yeah, we're just making slow progress. And this is the killer. This is the main thing here, that I really need to get this back down. So hopefully my tax appeal and my homeowners, whatever it's called, mortgage exemption thingy goes through, and we can get this back down to a reasonable level. So that would give us a little extra breathing room. But yeah, that is where we are at. And thank you so much for tuning in for a little update. So I will hopefully post again soon, but life is very busy and I can't do it as much as I would like to, unfortunately. But I love keeping up with this stuff and nerding out about it and just talking about it with other people who are doing the same thing. So talk to you guys later. Bye.